loss of our colleague and friend, Hall of Fame trainer, Emanuel Steward. Here's a closer look at the Hall of Fame life.
I actually began teaching boxers, or teaching guys to box, and training when I was 16 years old, while I was still boxing myself. And then later on, after winning the National Golden Glove Championship, I went to the Crunk Recreation Center to train my brother James. And James won the Golden Gloves that year. Then the next year, James won the Golden Gloves. And they asked me would I be the main coach at the Crunk Gym.
Though he never fought professionally, Emanuel Steward became one of the most identifiable figures in the boxing cult. He leaves us as the most decorated trainer in the history of the sport, having worked with 41 world title winners in a career that spanned more than 40 years. He carved out his legacy in this basement gym in Detroit's Crunk Recreation Center, where in the 1970s, under Steward's guidance, one of the most celebrated amateur programs in the history of the sport emerged. His 1971 Crunk team featured 7 Golden Gloves champions and began the legend of a culture that would become one of the most recognized gym brands in boxing history. His first world champion was Hilmer Kempty in 1980. But in those early days, Steward's breakout star was Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And together, they would engage in some of the most memorable showdowns of a generation.
There's been no boxing at all, just fighting here. This is still the first round.
In later years, Steward would emerge as the sport's leading hired gun, a Mr. Fix-It for a veritable who's who of boxing royalty. In 1993, he coached Evander Holyfield to an against-all-odds rematch victory over Riddick Bowe in a fight best remembered for the arrival of an uninvited guest.
And somebody in a parachute has just landed on the edge of the ring.
After engineering Oliver McCall's shocking knockout of then-champion Lennox Lewis, Steward joined forces with Lewis and guided him to a Hall of Fame career, including some memorable corner work in a victory over Mike Tyson.
Because you got a dead man in front of you, and you still do this. Let's let that shit go. This fight is over with. You don't fucking let him catch you with some shit if you don't watch. That man is dead out there, but he wants to quit.
In 2001, Emanuel joined the HBO broadcast team, where his unrivaled knowledge and infectious love of the sport was imparted to audiences privileged to hear the insights of one of boxing's all-time greats.
You came up Tyson against him, but there's something to live up to the expectation. This is even more than you can dream of.
During his 11 years at ringside with us, Steward continued to work his magic in the corner, continued to succeed where others had struggled, continued to stay true to his roots.
And even though I've had success beyond any professional trainer in the history of boxing in terms of my accomplishments and championships, I still love the amateur boxing. That's where my heart is. And it's up to me. That's where I would spend all of my time, being go right down to that little basement out in front, and that's where I'm the happiest.
With the passing of Emanuel Steward, we say goodbye to one of the most significant chapters in the history of our sport. He will be deeply missed by his family and friends, by the men he nurtured in the ring and far beyond, and by a sport that couldn't possibly fill the void he leaves behind. And for those of us here at HBO who knew and loved Emanuel Steward, ringside will never be quite the same.
And Roy, obviously an emotional piece, and Emanuel talked about the amateur game. Remember the first time that you met Emanuel Steward?
Yeah, the very first time I met Emanuel Steward was after the 1988 Olympic Games. He was one of the guys, the first guy to come to Pensacola to sign me as a professional fighter. Had a contract that I totally was in agreement with. However, my mom asked me to give my father a chance, so I had to deny the contract with Emanuel Steward. But because of the love I have for him and because he was willing to come to me to sign me as a professional for real, I, to this day, carry a Crunk bag with me to every professional fight that I have. I always put my stuff in my Crunk bag because of my love for Emanuel Steward.
You know, in that Crunk bag and those colors, they scream Detroit and the Motor City to you. And when you think of Crunk, you think of Emanuel Steward. Max Kellerman, your memories of our great friend.
This is the best job in the world. because I've gotten to do things like sit right there and talk boxing with Emanuel Steward. Are you kidding me? For all you fight fans out there who are wondering, was that really as fun, as incredible, as great as we imagined? Yup. Emanuel was one of the most interesting people in the world. So I'm grateful for the time that I got to spend with him. And I'm filled with sadness at the loss of my teacher and friend.
Well said, Max. I met him first in 1989, and one of the cool things about being around Emanuel was just the opportunity, killing time with him in an airport, and just telling different stories about great fights of the past, the Motor City, the early days of the Kronk Gym, and he certainly has left his mark not only here at HBO, but in the world of boxing. Well, Emanuel loved that sport, and we're ready for our second bout of